Damn, sorry. I was listening to Primus videos. Jeez, wake up, BZ.
Get comfortable, bring the best libs that Utah has to offer. Counting or not counting gang violence?
If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country and this world. You have no idea.
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. The most important thing is my faith.
You're listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used. If conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
I'm pushing them back from the saloon to the airwaves. I'm spitting it raw. Constitution's my compass, liberty's law. Big gods creeping, shadows on the land. Feds with the schemes trying to bind up my hands. But I'm the Sherpa, guiding through the storm. Red, white, and blue, yeah, freedom's reborn. They spin their tails, but I see through the haze. Media maggots, lost in the maze. I'm calling it out, no fear in my soul. This patriot's fire ain't losing control. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas rising. Freedom's calling. Let this judge is twisted, trying to steal our rights, but I'm locked and loaded, got them in my sights. From J6 to the border, they're selling us out. I'm screaming from the mountain, hear my rebel shout. They mock the flag, but I'm holding it high. Stars and stripes forever under God's open sky. No globalist chains gonna cage this land. I'm the Sherpa with the truth in my hand. They push their agenda, but I'm breaking the mold. Their promises empty, their hearts ice cold. Chicago's bleeding, borders torn apart. I'm fighting for the people with the warrior's heart. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas. I've walked the line, 41 years, badge on the grind. Now I'm on the air, my voice like a blade, cutting through the lies that the traitors made. Hurricanes rage, but we're standing tall. Sheriffs of the Constitution answering the call. From the saloon to the heart of the fray, we're taking back America, no more delay. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight, torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas, rising and static, hear my voice resound. Conservative Sherpa, freedom's battleground. Berserk, Bobcat, rolls will never kneel. For God and country, this fight is real.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to BZ's Berserk, Bobcat, Saloon radio show, where I am broadcasting live and direct from the nice studios here in North Idaho. I happen to be, let's see, who am I? I am this guy, and there's an app for that. I have a banner for that. I am your conservative Sherpa, guiding you through the insidious maelstrom of Demorat, leftist and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, tyranny, and betrayal. Betrayal. Oh my gosh. Thanks to all the people who are in chat. Let's go, if we can, quick like a bunny, and begin to acknowledge all the folks that are here tonight. For whatever reason, this guy said yeet with the heat. Who is he? Well, that's adorable. Speaking of adorable, guess who came into the studio today? I will go through the rest of the comments here, but I'll put up an overlay here in just a second. So thanks to Phantom, thanks to Sean, thanks to Earl, thanks to Jersey Joe, and who am I missing? Mission Ready Men, Unpleasant Blind Guy, who is actually fairly pleasant, not completely 100% pleasant, but sometimes mostly reasonably pleasant. And somebody came in today and did something that he hadn't done in probably 2 months. And that's Jake. He's under the desk right now. I don't have a live dog action cam. So I took a picture of him in his bed just before he came in here. And so with luck, now sometimes he'll let me know that he needs to go outside. And my leg is right down here. So of course, when he gets up, he'll brush my leg. And then if I'm lucky, I'll feel the tip of a cold, wet nose as I'm talking on my calf. So that is, yeah. It's like, wake up, BZ. Got to go out. Get up. Pause the show. Go to the door. Let me out. I got shit to do. Maybe literally. So thanks to everybody for being here. There are more commentitos coming in. The memorial, yes. Hey, Mike is in chat. Good to see Mike. And everyone is shaking hands and agreeing that it's going to be 9 millimeters at midnight. We decided 40 millimeter at midnight or 10 millimeter at midnight. Then we thought, nah, let's go with 9 millimeters at midnight. So thanks to everybody for being here tonight. The show is going to be about Antifa. They are the fascists. But already, oh, look, I have a comic artist drop in. So comic artist, welcome and great to see you here. I didn't get into the rest of the introduction. We're going to have drinks and its proportion and rationality and politics and crime and all that kind of stuff. One thing I do have to tell you, though, is that everything in this show consists of my opinion and my opinion only. That's the Mark 1 Model 1 disclaimer. So, BZ, what are we going to be doing tonight, BZ? Well, we're going to be talking about, I forgot about this. Let me back up a little bit. So, I am going to be part of this. So, if remember, KLRN says, hey, we do radio plays, and apparently each year at Halloween, they do a radio play, and I think they do a Christmas radio play. So I have been accepted with great amount. With it, probably took a year and a half of vetting. I had to pay for my fingerprints to be taken, and only then, after running a CI&I background check on me, and also through the FBI, did they say, well, okay, BZ, you might be able to be on our very special Friday night, October the 24th of this year. By the way, today is October the 14th, the year of our Lord, 2025. Anyway, the day the earth stood still is going to be a radio play on KLRN that Friday night at 8:30 Eastern, which means 5:30 Pacific on that Friday night. And I'm promoting this because I've never been in a radio play for probably 40 years. A long time ago, I was in radio. And I was in professional radio and college radio and radio stations all across the Boneyard land. And this is my first radio play in which I am available in long time, GI. I can sum it up that way. Anyway, tonight we're going to have the Chicago death toll. We're going to be talking about stand by for news and happy stories. And we're also going to be talking about Antifa. A story just broke before I got here, maybe a couple of hours, hour and a half or so before I got here. And let me see if I can go here. There we go. So in any event, let's do this, shall we?
The bloviating Zeppelins, HeyJackass.com Chicago Death Toll Update. Courtesy of every leftist running that city. From the mayor, police chief, and every autocrat in the 50 wards.
Gee, if I only had a producer. Hey, folks, this is from HeyJackass.com, HeyJackass.com, illustrating Chicago values. And it goes something like this. October to date, shot and killed 15, shot and wounded 57. Total shot 72, total homicides 18. This is a challenge for my lips to see if they can move as fast as my brain doesn't. Week in progress, October the 12th to October the 18th, shot and killed 2, shot and wounded 10, total shot 12, total homicides 2. This is cold reading, by the way. Year to date, shot and killed 301, shot and wounded 1,308, total shot 1,609, total homicides 360. Now, if you translate that so that you speak leftist, because I speak leftist, that means a person is shot every 4 hours and 16 minutes, and a person is killed in Chicago, the city of big shoulders and great values, every 19 hours and 4 seconds. Yay, Chicago.
The bloviating Zeppelins, HeyJackass.com Chicago Death Toll Update. Courtesy of every leftist running that city. From the mayor, police chief, and every autocrat in the 50 wards.
Here's something kind of weird, because when I do the Chicago death toll update, oh my God, I'm backed up. Oh, no wonder I was getting claustrophobia in my lower girdle cage. I'm backed up on comments. Okay, so unpleasant blind guy, comic artist. Everybody is playing nicely. Everyone is waving. Everyone is being kind. When they were threatening everybody, they don't listen to you. Gort, Baringa. Well, actually, the line is Gort, Klaatu, Barada, Nikto. And if I have to play that for you tonight, you guys are going to go to bed without your Aborigine wine. Okay? Jeez, you guys. Klaatu, Barada, Nikto. Wait. First of the night. Comic artist gets it. That's exactly what he said. Are you going to play Klaatu or Gort? No, I think I'm probably going to play either the hubcap on the taxi, or I might play the 50 cal that's in the back of one of the Jeeps as they go careening down the road and then up the ramp like the cops, and it'll be exciting and it'll be wonderful. Or I will get the part of the lamppost overlooking the flying saucer. So my part, whatever it is, will be glorious and badass. I'm hoping actually for the lamppost because it has the most lines. So Chicago citizens beg to disagree with racist Mayor Brandon Johnson. How about a list of crimes of all the things that have occurred recently in Chicago? Go for it.
I have a list of some of the things that happened in Chicago from Friday till today. And people want to know if we need the National Guard. And this is not a full list of everything that happened in Chicago. So let's just take a look. From the south side to the north side, west, southeast, and downtown. We have a SWAT situation on the west side. $100,000 worth of Louis Vuitton merchandise stolen from downtown.
Have a drink, folks.
Foot Locker broken into.
This might take a while.
Rammed into with a vehicle. Forgot which location that was. 2 men shot southeast side.
But remember, Brandon Johnson doesn't want anybody in to help with Chicago. And essentially what happens is she goes on and on and on and on. But when you live in a leftist urban rat cage, and let's say, you're saying, God, it's kind of late at night. I think I want some wings. This is what happens when you go to the Wingstop in Oakland.
Check this out. We're out here in Oakland at Wingstop. The entire place is locked down like Fort Knox. Really thick glass, bulletproof windows. Got to talk through an intercom when you order your food and get it through a little cubby hole right here. That's insane. Welcome to Oakland, baby.
So that's what you want. That's what everybody in a leftist urban rat cage gets. And we're going to go through some comments here as we scroll along with Reno. Anyway, Destructo Ray. That's it. I might get to play one of the tanks that gets destroyed. Klaatu brought a necktie. Nice. I'd rather drink Fireball than wine. Comic artist. Did you know at the end of my stars on Alice Cooper's album, he says Klaatu Barada Nikto than my name? No. Comic artist. If you have that, you got to send me the audio on that, because I used to have all the, God, this dates me. No one wants to date me. Anyway, I used to have all the Alice Cooper albums. Let's move on with that, because I believe
that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon.
News.
Safely.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941. My fellow Americans, I'm pleased.
And I've got news that I didn't see coming. This just came out today. I found it on Jesse Waters' Primetime, and I haven't looked to see how many other places that this has been released, but there's audio and video.
Today that I signed legislation
It will outlaw Russia forever. We begin bombing in 5 minutes. Guidance is internal.
I love this.
11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3.
Take it, Paul.
1.
Take it, Paul.
I will build a great, great wall.
Paul.
Stand by for news.
And that's what we're doing. We're standing by for news. So I will give you the summary up front, then we'll listen. It's breaking apparently that 20 CIA and FBI agents have been confirmed. They have confirmed Barack Hussein Obama personally worked with former CIA Director John Brennan to create the false Russia hoax. We've been waiting for some kind of linkulus directly to the Hussein. This may be it. Hit it.
Fox News alert, the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, releasing a bombshell report today that shows a conspiracy by a sitting president, Barack Obama, and his intel agencies to sabotage the president-elect, Donald Trump, brainwash the electorate, and undermine the legitimacy of an election.
There is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were true.
Didn't we always suspect that the receipts were there, but there were so many levels of occlusion in the way? We kept thinking for years and years, this is literally over years, that we would never make any kind of discoveries. And we sure as shit would never have made any discoveries had we, either Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden, again, definitely not under Joe Biden, or Cami Cackler.
It wasn't.
Gabbard got her hands on a House intel report that's been locked away in a CIA vault for almost a decade.
See, but that begs the question to me and to you, I'm guessing. Okay, why now? Where'd this come from? How did they get into it? Now you're going to say whistleblowers. Well, I don't know. Let's find out.
Investigators spent over 2,000 hours looking into how the Russia hoax was born, interviewing 20 CIA and FBI officials. And it turns out that the Obama administration doctored the intelligence to make it look like Putin and Trump stole the election. A month after Trump beat Hillary, Barack Obama wasn't satisfied with his intelligence reporting.
So stop. You also have to ask a series of questions here. You know, one of the ones that I said, and a lot of people were addressing literally from years ago, was, okay, if we find out this is all predicated but upon bullshit, then when and where does the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine apply? And then following that, how can you atone in any reasonable fashion for OMB, Donald John Trump, OMB, Orange Man Bad, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head, being subjected to all of these things? How is that handled, and in what fashion, without somehow destroying this entire nation?
Ordered his CIA director to create a new assessment of how Russia interfered with the election. This was a highly unusual move. John Brennan handpicked 5 CIA analysts to write the assessment, and they were siloed. None of them knew what the other was doing. And only one analyst was in charge of drafting this report.
By the way, this is 6 minutes. It's going to go a little long. Right after this, we'll hit a break in case you need to, hit the electric winkle chamber or something like that, Senator.
There was nothing routine about this, and it was a rush job to publish before Trump was sworn in. Nothing was coordinated with the other intelligence agencies either. Basically, this was home cooking for Barack Obama. There were 4 key elements from the assessment that were repeated over and over again and formed the basis of the Russia hoax and the Robert Mueller witch hunt.
Okay, but I also have to ask about this point. If you're Barack Hussein Obama, what are you thinking? Are you thinking, oh, damn it? Or are you thinking, I know how things have gone. I'm BHO. Ain't nothing gonna happen to me, baby. I'm still cruising in the fast lane.
that Vladimir Putin wanted Donald Trump to win. 2, Putin took action to help Trump win. 3, the Russians had blackmail on Trump. That was the Steele dossier. And 4, that the Russians tried colluding with the Trump campaign. None of any of this was ever true. There was no reliable intelligence to support any of these allegations. Senior CIA officials repeatedly refused to traffic in these allegations, but they were repeatedly overruled by CIA Director Brennan and FBI Director Comey, who insisted that they be pushed, even without verifiable evidence. The Obama administration cherry-picked the intelligence, lied about their sources, misquoted sources, didn't corroborate their claims, suppressed intelligence that ran counter to their narratives, and even used anonymous internet postings.
See, this is me. Treason. Treason. All of them. Treason. And conspiracy. I wouldn't even go RICO. RICO does not have the death penalty attached. I think these are all people who committed treason. It was a soft coup, as I said, for a long time, since 2017. This was a soft coup. In other words, a true coup, an active coup involves rifles and firing. And wait a minute, wasn't Trump the subject of an assassination attempt? So I said, yeah, this is a soft coup regarding a presidential candidate, a president-elect, a presidential nominee, and then a sitting president. It was a soft coup.
Rank and file CIA admitted what they were doing violated their own tradecraft standards.
Shock.
There was a massive pressure campaign that came right from the top. CIA analysts say they received unusual directives from political appointees, the CIA director, and Obama himself. This is how the Russia hoax was born.
Donald Trump knows that the Russians helped him win in 2016.
Putin hated Secretary Clinton.
Let me stop right there. Hillary Clinton started that. By the way, do you know who started the Obama birth certificate story? That's right, Hillary Rodham Clinton.
So much that the flip side of that coin was he had a clear preference for the person running against the person he hated so much.
It was Russia in a very systematic way and tried to interfere in the election and to try to advance the prospects of Donald Trump being elected.
This was such a malicious disinformation campaign perpetrated on the American people that at one point, 60% of Democrats believed the Russians hacked our voting machines to help Trump win the White House. What this report actually shows is that the Russians just wanted to create chaos and undermine Americans' faith in democracy.
And they did.
Solid intelligence suggested that Vladimir Putin didn't care who won. He had no preference. But like most people, expected
I speak leftist. His job was just to fuck with people.
Hillary to win, and had a little docket of compromising dirt on her, dirt that he never released. Now, if Putin wanted Trump to win, why didn't Putin drop the dirt?
There were high-level DNC emails that detailed evidence of Hillary's, quote, psycho-emotional problems, uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness, and that then Secretary Clinton was allegedly on a daily regimen of heavy tranquilizers. Then CIA Director Brennan and the intelligence community mischaracterized intelligence and relied on dubious substandard sources to create a contrived false narrative that Putin developed a quote-unquote clear preference for Trump.
Now, if Clinton was on tranquilizers like the Russians believed, why didn't they leak it to help Trump win?
How credible was the information about Hillary Clinton's power?
All I have seen is what the intelligence committee have reported through their investigation. I think the underlying point there is that we understand from intelligence what Russia said that they had. And the important point here is that if they were trying to influence the election, as President Obama and James Clapper and John Brennan, everybody said they were doing in order to support Donald Trump's election, they would have released the most damning of that information.
Obama and his spy chiefs knew that Putin didn't prefer Trump over Hillary, but they cooked the intelligence to make it look like he did. Obama and his intel spies knew that Putin didn't collude with Trump and that he didn't even direct his people to help Trump win.
See, even then, everybody at SHR, and I'm sure everyone at KLRN, I didn't know what the hell KLRN was back then. I don't even know if it was in existence at that point. But everybody on SHR, Sean, me, Jersey Joe, everybody said at that time, there isn't anything that goes through the Oval Office that occurs in the Obama regime that Obama is unaware of. Obama is the furthest from a stupid man. And because of his nature, his job was to make sure that he knew what was going on. Cutouts? Maybe. But look how long it took for the information to, like a boomerang, come back to Barack Hussein Obama. Wasn't this what everyone was saying and thinking? He's not stupid. He knows what he's doing. He knows what's happening under him. He's talking to these people all the time. He's smart as a whip. He sounds like a nice, educated young man, according to Biden or whatever that specific quote was. And we were all wondering, it's got to come back to him. It has to come back. He's not ignorant. He's far from stupid. He knew everything. Barack Hussein Obama knew everything that was occurring during his terms.
But they put it out there anyway. In a sense, Barack Obama did exactly what Putin wanted, undermined Americans' faith in free and fair elections and caused chaos in our country. Barack Obama, the CIA, and the FBI were the ones doing what our enemy wanted.
Do you believe that any of this new information implicates former President Obama in criminal behavior? We have referred and will continue to refer all of these documents to the Department of Justice and the FBI to investigate the criminal implications of this.
BZ says something similar to this: treason. I like the T word. The Rosenbergs didn't care for the T word. BZ likes the T word because if found guilty, BZ likes the end results.
The evidence, correct. The evidence that we have found and that we have released directly point to President Obama leading the manufacturing of this intelligence assessment. There are multiple pieces of evidence and intelligence that confirm that fact.
Even 2 years later, after the election, Barack Obama was still pushing a hoax he knew wasn't true. And he knew it wasn't true because he helped manufacture it.
They're undermining our alliances, cozying up to Russia. What happened to the Republican Party? They're cozying up to the former head of the KGB.
The bottom foundational, buttressing, overarching element of this is that Barack Obama knew everything. Demorats, leftists, and globalists know everything. They work in concert. The state is deep, long, and wide. And that's why it's taken such a long and significant amount of time. But the big question, like everything else, and I'm playing this thing in toto so that this is breaking news. You can understand and listen to what's happening. But the big question is, okay, and
Actively blocking legislation that would defend our elections from Russian attack. What happened?
Now, I don't know if it's possible to indict a former president for actions he took while in office. I'm not a lawyer, proudly. But Brennan, Comey, and others may have severe liability. Trey Gowdy says we know for a fact that Brennan committed perjury when he lied to Congress.
See, here's what I said and what I suspect may be happening. And I know I'm long on the break. Fuck it. I may not even do a break. The point of it is that when this becomes revealed, and bit by bit, it is going to be revealed. I believe that the indictment of Comey people were saying, oh, that's not enough. That's just not enough. We need more on Comey. And Jonathan Turley, a guy that I respect, has been saying all along with regard to Comey, it's a fairly simple prosecution. It's a USC 1001 prosecution. God, I remember my US codes. And if it is kept fundamentally simple, then there is a chance that it can be proven that Comey lied. I believe. And what is attributed to Hillary Clinton? None of this better get out, because if it does, we're all going to hang, and we're all going to hang together. But with Comey was the DOJ nose in the camel's tent. And I believed that if you can open that up just a little bit, then you can open it up a little bit wider, because then that leads, like the federal government does, because that's what I did. It leads to people, and then it leads to a spreading umbrella of people. It leads to the world's worst and best Venn diagram. It leads to an explosion of people not wanting to become involved, but becoming involved. And then when and if that happens, what you then do is start offering. So-and-so is talking. Do you want a deal, little boy? Do you want a deal, little girl? Because if you're not interested in dealing, well, you might be looking at some serious time. That's how the federal government works. It slices and moves all these people apart. And then they go for deals. And they're going to try to find out. And this will be, and trust me, I believe there are lots of attorneys' asses scrambling right now. First in gets the best deal.
Director Brennan, do you know who commissioned the Steele dossier?
I don't.
You know if the Bureau ever relied
Lie.
on the Steele dossier as part of any court filings, applications?
I have no awareness.
Lie.
Did the CIA rely on it?
No.
Lie.
Why not?
Because we didn't. It wasn't part of the corpus of intelligence information that we had. It was not in any way used as a basis for the intelligence community assessment that was done. It was not.
No, that's a lie. Whatever happens to these guys is not revenge. It's accountability. And it's time for people to pay the price.
That's the breaking news. That's the breaking story at this point. Now, I've got a ton of comments. I'm sorry, I don't have time to go through all the comments, because otherwise I'm not going to get through the damn show. But well, crap. Let me go up. Statute of limitations runs out. Maybe yes, maybe no. Whiskey Dale, good to see you there. So that brings up a great question. Who's worried and who isn't? Who is going to roll and who isn't? Is it worth rolling? Can people, in fact, keep their mouths shut? The question about keeping their mouths shut is in terms of, wait, well, apparently the whistleblowers on the CIA and the FBI side, they couldn't keep their mouths shut. So who knew what and at what time? Can we start just from perjury? Can we make it any further? Can we extend it in some fashion? I have to admit, I never thought that I would see the day when some kind of a revelation comes through like this. And that's why I had to play this up front. Then there's this, because there's news. The Jerusalem Post lands a second viral cover of Trump in 2 days. That's an important story. That's an extremely important story. Here are people that wanted the end of the genocide in Gaza. Well, you got it. President Trump did that. Hostages back, as many as they're going to give at this point, a ceasefire. Hey, I don't hear any thanks from that. Do we hear anything from Rashida Tlaib? No, not a damn thing. And yet, doesn't she claim to be a so-called Palestinian? You know, like air quotes, a Palestinian? Radio silence. That's all we're getting on her end. And this is why I love the Babylon Bee. People who've been calling for a ceasefire for 2 years denounce the ceasefire. You can't tell me that this wasn't rolling through your brainulus, whether it was involving the bee or not, when you're going through and you're saying something similar to exactly precisely what the bee wrote. Anti-Israel protesters denounced the Trump-brokered ceasefire in Israel after months of demanding that Trump broker a peace deal in Gaza. UGG protester Jenny Martinez declared, "When we chanted ceasefire now, we didn't mean like this, not one that Trump arranged. We meant one arranged by Hamas that would end in the annihilation of all Jews." You know, humor isn't funny or amusing unless it contains elements, sometimes incredibly huge elements, of truth. And that's one of those occasions. It was truth. Oh, let me go back to this. Whiskey Dale points out, correct, during Trump 45, it was he that moved the embassy to Jerusalem. See, but all of this stuff is going through your brain. I know it is because it's going through mine. Kiwi Lass, good to see you here. And then everybody's going to chime in and welcome Kiwi Lass because we haven't seen her for a while. That's a wonderful thing. And then we have this. We have the Democrats again block the GOP effort to open the government. This is the 14th day today, 14 days of the government being closed. It's incredible, but you have to look at in this fashion. It is, by this point, 8 refusals to pass a CR and open up the government, 8 refusals. It is, in fact, the Schumer shakedown, shutdown. The Demorats own it. They own it with every fiber of their being. There is no way that they can disavow any of this now.
Engagement to try to find
You're
common
right down
ground.
the hall from Mike.
When you have CNN's Dana Bash taking you to task, Hakeem Jeffries, you're on the wrong timetable.
Johnson's office. I know exactly where you are. You could probably take a few steps and go knock on the door and talk to him. Have you tried that?
Speaker Johnson hasn't been given permission to have a conversation with me or Leader Schumer, and he said as much earlier today.
So you don't think he would talk?
Speaker Johnson doesn't need permission. Speaker Johnson is come on, kids, fill it in. He's the speaker. He can do it.
To at all.
We can have a conversation, but the problem is that until they get the green light to actually have a meaningful discussion to try to find common ground and a bipartisan path forward and a willingness to address the damage that Republicans have done to the health, the safety, and the economic well-being.
No, you mean the damage that the Demorats have done through the Schumer shakedown, shutdown. You guys, you own this. It's owned by you.
The American people, then of course any informal discussion is going to be not fruitful. Engagement to try to find
You're
common
right down
ground.
the hall from Mike Johnson.
She makes an excellent point, of course. You can talk. What's stopping you from talking? What's stopping you from walking down the hall? Because here's the odd thing. Allegedly, all the Republicans have gone home, right? That's what Hakeem Jeffries has said. But who's on the television every damn day? Speaker Johnson. Well, hey, he must have an office. And in this office, he has a phone and a door, a phone that can be called and a door that can be opened because he's there. And when I see him interviewed, I don't see him interviewed in his office, with a a green screen behind it. If I didn't know any better, it seems to me like he might actually be present, in the White House. So people can go in and knock or phone or ask or, stuff like that. And the purpose, the buttressing behind this is, we don't want to give illegal invaders health care. Report. This is from the Gateway Pundit. Sometimes I have to be careful with the Gateway Pundit. Sometimes the Gateway Pundit has stuff that nobody else will cover. Nobody else will touch. The Gateway Pundit went from being, these kind of like strange people. Who were these folks? I don't know who these people were. Holtz. Oh, wait, that's it. The Holtz. And everybody used to say the Holtz, they're nutters. They're nutters. No, they're not. Frequently, they are accurate and cover things the American media maggots will not. Illegal immigrants collected $7 billion in Medicaid payments. But wait, BZ, there's more. There's no violence. There's no one being held because Jabba the Hutt Pritzker, with regard to all of the things that are occurring in his Chicago city, in his state, says that in the midst of all of this and the illegal invaders and the Medicaid and the medical benefits, he says, you know what? There aren't going to be any elections next year. This is just a continuing attempt to stoke the fires and to jack leftists up. Well, already, isn't this weird? I have a memory. Even though I'm a doddering fool, I still have a memory, and I can remember when there was voter intimidation by way of the new Black Panther Party on November 4th of 2008 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And what you see in this photo, no, that's not a black dick right there. That's a baton that these two members of the new Black Panther Party were holding just outside the polls. Well, shoot, that's not intimidating or anything, is it? So who did that first? Jabba the Hutt Pritzker? Well, it would be them. By the way, isn't it also alleged along with this in terms of news that it's Tom Homan? It's clearly Tom Homan who took a $50,000 bribe. Because all the American media maggots are saying, well, it's on the video. Really? Well, Brad Slager, who speaks on KLRN, happened to write an article at Red State. And I asked and I posed in a social media post, I said, who's seen the video? Has anybody seen the video? Have you seen the video? Who has the video? How long has the video existed? Is it akin to like all the evidence that Adam Schiff said he possessed against President Trump, up to and including the pee bed video? So who's seen it? Who's in it? Because as we all know, said it before, we'll continue to say it again, the absence of something is frequently as important, if not occasionally more important, than the presence of something. Oh, BZ, what are you talking about? If a video truly existed of Tom Homan taking a bribe from the FBI, some pisshead from the deep state FBI on any of the floors would already have leaked it, and the American media maggots would have breathlessly paraded that crap all along every channel 24/7. And because it wasn't, and you haven't seen it, oh, that means it exists, right? Well, here's the article from Red State from Brad Slager. The Tom Homan bribery story has the press convinced of his guilt, despite the lack of evidence. And generally, don't we go on evidence? Well, if I'm not mistaken, yes, by God, we certainly do. Do you believe that if there was a video upon which someone could snag and leak it to the American media maggots anywhere at any time, because James Comey did that himself in order to force an investigation, and he leaked classified evidence. Nothing happened to him. But if the director of the FBI can do that, why can't some little grunt manage to do that? You and I both know, and especially after being in DC and working in New York, two places I absolutely despised. It's execrable to be in New York. It was, especially under Lindsay and then Dinkins, New York was a piece of crap. Essentially the same with DC. It was the beginning of the early shitholes before they were quantified as such. You and I both know if that were out there and available, it would already have been thrown with great glee and finesse into the ozone. And so that it's not, to me, says volumes. Then let's laugh at this. So Letitia James, but wait, there's more. That Letitia James is housing a grandniece in her Virginia home. Well, let's see. Isn't Letitia James being indicted for the same thing for which she said she was running on for Donald Trump? I'm running on the fact that I'm going to indict Donald Trump, but that's not biased or anything. That's not retributive. Perish the thought. So Letitia James had two homes, as opposed to, I don't know, Adam Kinzinger having two mommies. And then you're only supposed to have one. Only one of those homes can be the home that you declare that you live in for tax purposes. And then apparently she claimed two homes, remarkably similar to what Donald John Trump OMB was accused of. This is from New York Post. The under fire prosecutor's grandniece, Nakia Thompson, has been living with her three children in James' 3-bedroom property in Norfolk, in Virginia, since 2020. It's now been revealed that Thompson is officially listed as an absconder who is wanted by authorities in Forsyth County, North Carolina, for failing to finish her probation, court documents seen by the Daily Mail reveal. So not only is Letitia James a fraudster, but she's covering for her niece as well. Let's catch up with some. Here we go. Let's catch up with some comments as we continue. The gate of puns. It's easy to toss Gateway Pundit aside because it is the gate of puns. Oh, wait a minute. Let me go back. There are no illegal aliens in Chicago. I'm sorry, invaders. I beg to correct you, UBG, invaders. Pritzker ate them. Correct. Mission Ready Men. Earl says, if there was a video, somebody would have leaked it. Excuse me while I reach over here for the silver round thing, Earl. Abso-damn-lutely correct. Like I said about the LAPD, and was true about the Hells Angels. 2 LAPD officers and 2 Hells Angels can keep a secret if one is dead. That's essentially what we're discovering through DC. It just took them a while to realize that. Jack Alexander, great to see you here. Thank you. So this should come as no shock, but let me remove this, go one story over. And this, I've been waiting for a while to play this. Let me turn the sound on. Now, this is Leland Vittert talking about, let me see, he's talking to Steve Cohen, a Demorat, who I think is from Tennessee. And so now, let me do that. Let me go through the rest of the comments here. And anyway, welcome to everybody, and thanks for everyone being in the chat room right now and being so damn vociferous in the chat room. That's a multiple word chatty thing that means, okay, why substitute a small word when a lengthy multisyllabic word will do? Anyway, Steve Cohen, Leland Vittert, take it away.
All right, breaking tonight, the Department of Justice has indicted former FBI Director James Comey on 2 counts: obstruction and making false statements to Congress. Comey
Oh, damn it, Jim. It's about Comey, not James, but it's still fun.
now responded by saying he's, quote, not afraid. Standing by our super panel, former federal prosecutor Shan Wu, Deputy Assistant Attorney General Tom Du.
Sorry about this. The volume is cranked up as much as I possibly can do it. You might have to like crank it up in your own little personal headphones or ear pods or earbuds or whatever you're listening to.
Semaphore Shelby Talcott, first Congressman Steve Cohen of Tennessee, member of the House Judiciary Committee. It's good to see you, Congressman. Thank you. We said back in the day that lawfare against Donald Trump was wrong and Democrats are going to regret it. My question to you is this. Why is what Donald Trump is doing to James Comey any different than what Letitia James and, frankly, the Biden Justice Department did to Donald Trump?
Now, this is a 4.5-minute video, but the good shit is up front.
Well, I don't know what they did to Donald Trump. You know, a jury found him guilty on 34 felonies. Letitia James presented a case. It was an indictment. There was a trial. And
You're conflating 2 cases. But
Thank you.
Well,
Letitia James said, no, what I'm trying to say is Letitia James said on camera, I am running to get Donald Trump. And she did.
Bingo.
And Democrats were just fine with that. Rule of law, rule of law. Donald Trump ran on, I am going to get my political enemies and do unto them what they have done unto me, which is he's doing right now. And you didn't mind it when Letitia James did it. You're just justifying it. But when Donald Trump does it, it's terrible. So what's the difference?
Well, the difference is because he campaigned on putting prices on grocery stores down the first day, getting control of inflation. Hasn't. Grocery prices are still high as they can be.
Okay, let me stop right here. I'm going to take this off. Leland Vittert, if you don't know, is not necessarily a right-wing kind of guy. He can be a centrist towards kind of a leftist kind of guy. And when you're losing Leland Vittert to a guy named Stephen Cohen, a Demorat from Tennessee, you know things are not going necessarily the way that you had perhaps hoped that they were going to. Then there's also this, and I'm not sure what this indicates. There's some people like Sakajhan, for example, says that he doesn't believe that Mamdani is going to win the election for New York City mayor in November. I'm kind of pretty much convinced that that's going to happen. Well, let's put this up right now. Mamdani mayoral campaign took in $13,000 in illegal foreign donations, records show. So before he's even installed as mayor, apparently the fraud looms large in Mr. Muzzy, Mr. Racist, anti-Semitic, lying Muzzy. But the question I think I'm posing at this point is, what effect, if any, does this have on his campaign? I'm believing that it might take a whole bunch more of that in order to kind of start to sink him. Now, the next story that I have is, illegal invaders and illegals with driver's licenses, CDLs, commercial driver's licenses, that have no name given. They should certainly be able to drive 88,000 big rigs, 88,000 pound big rigs on our federal highways. Don't you think? Certainly. Why not?
Last week, Vivek Sharma went to the DMV to renew his trucking license, but he was denied. The problem? New rules surrounding the process. As he explains in Hindi, only green card holders and U.S. citizens can get their commercial driver's license renewed. Sharma's been in the U.S. legally for the past 10 years, seeking political asylum. His final court case is next year. He's been driving a truck for the past 8 years, but now he can't.
Is this right? I believe this is absolutely 100% correct. California, always spell it with a K, has been letting this occur, as I believe the state of New York. Trump has said essentially that, you know what, you could lose your highway funding, states, if you decide you're going to continue with this. To which I would also add in an additional fashion that why then are the rest of these states acknowledging, why aren't they saying something similar to California and New York? We're not going to recognize your CDLs from these people. Sean, very importantly, in chat says, because he's been in this industry, he says, these aren't new rules. These are just rules that are finally being enforced, meaning, because again, I speak leftist, California didn't give a crap about the rules. They didn't enforce the rules. They had no interest in doing that. Mission Ready Men, Big Earl says, gotta run. Have a good night. Damn, guys, gotta go to work. Work interferes with cool stuff. Plus another story. This is linked. The next three stories are inexorably linked. I missed my break. I hope you guys, if you got to go caca pee pee or hit the electric Winkle chamber, that you've already done so. But I've decided there are not going to be any breaks. You're listening to the SHR Media Network, also on Rumble, also on YouTube, also on Twitch, also on X. And there will be a refire of this tomorrow night, Wednesday night on KLRN, courtesy of Licky Labinson. I love you long time, Licky Labinson. This is from Semaphore. As electricity bills rise, candidates in both parties blame data centers. I find that amusing, interesting. But of course, as BZ says, something similar to, but wait, there's more. Now that now that electrical energy is becoming an issue, now there's apparently a new type and kind of reactor, a smaller, more efficient reactor that I believe is excellent. We need more nuclear reactors all around the United States of America, parenthesis, because BZ has read up on this, using thorium. Nuclear power is about to grow significantly in the U.S., led by a handful of companies that have redesigned reactors to be smaller, safer, and quicker to build. And right now, this is when you're hearing all the leftists across everywhere saying, no, head tilted to the sky. Their brains doing this. No more nukes. We can't have nukes. Apparently, the nukes are coming. But then there's also this. Now, I state, this is New York. This is the state of New York. Federal court upholds New York's ban on natural gas hookups for new construction in 2026. That's next year. New construction. Can't have gas, can't have propane, can't have heating oil, can't have anything fossil fuel related or oriented. So let's see. Let's do what BZ calls the logical extension on this. Badoom. That means because all the new homes are going to be in competition with what? The rest of the EVs that are demanded that aren't selling. And also with AI data centers, which is why I included that information in there. And then you have the lowly little people making their lowly little houses and their lowly little commercial properties in the state of New York. And when the big blackout strikes, what's your alternative? And the alternative is, well, I think we're going to need these bicycle things that work on friction and a flywheel. And that's how we're going to make our electricity. Also, the other thing that I find very interesting is the fact that there are now more counties and more states saying, you know what, AI, take a leap. You're not coming here and we're not letting you win, because these data centers are massive consumers of water for cooling, and they create massive vacuums and draws on electricity. I live in Nofe, Idaho. I live in Kootenai County. And Kootenai County, in its infinite wisdom, has said and just recently ruled, you know what? We are not going to be accepting any data centers here in Kootenai County at all. One of the two reasons that BZ moved to this area is because he checks everything with great diligence, to include, I discovered we're sitting on one of the 4 largest aquifers in the entire United States of America. So I will not want for water. And also, we have so many electrical generation stations around us. There's one maybe 2 miles away from me that I can see when it's cold. The steam comes up, and I'm not far from the Columbia River. And the Columbia River is nothing but ridden with electrical generation stations. Here's something else from Oregon that you need to know. An Oregon general testified that National Guard troops are going to be protecting protesters' gains, or protecting protesters. And that's gaining a lot of hits online. Let me go up to comments. We're getting a whole bunch more comments now. UBG says, boom, thorium reactors are the schnitzel, just like you said. Absolutely correct. Jack Alexander, who is in Australia, says, I found out today Aussies are paying more for power than the countries that buy Aussie natural gas and fuel, fueling those foreign power stations. Huh, imagine that. What? No propane, what's Hank Hill gonna say? Word. Well, Bobby, time to head for Canada. And welcome to James Harbin. Thank you for being here. So, a 9-day-old snippet of testimony in front of Oregon lawmakers is zipping around social media. Oregon's top military leader offered some reassuring or infuriating, depending upon your political perspective, comments about the role of the National Guard soldiers during a proposed federal troop deployment to Portland. Speaking before a state subcommittee for the Senate, Brigadier General Alan Gronwald told legislatures, I hope you enjoy this. You're going to love this, Oregon. That before deployment, the 2 companies of soldiers would be trained in protective crowd control. We're going to protect the crowds. That training is now up in the air as Governor Tina Kotex ordered troops to go home after a federal judge ruled over the weekend that Trump had no authority to call this. Who does this guy sound like? Any thoughts? Bueller? Hands up? Yeah, that's right. Milley, who said that if Trump, during the 45 administration, if Trump got froggy, I, General Milley, would be calling China to give them a warning if, for example, we were going to launch any kind of strike on them, nuclear or otherwise. These 2 assholes deserve each other. And, oh, hey, here we go. Well, the Rick Robinson sighting. Hello, friends. And so everybody is shaking hands, and there will be 9mm at midnight. Speaking of midnight, it's after midnight on the East Coast. Wait a minute. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's time for what?
It's time for happy stories and good times.
Now, again, if I had a producer, you would have heard that. And then you also would have seen happy stories, because he would have been able to do both of those things at once. But I, only having 2 arms, I cannot. Let's go through happy stories. We're going to kind of have to locky low through this. Education Department lays off roughly 20% of its workforce amid shutdown. Okay, let me continue. This is the shit that I voted for. Also a Babylon Bee article. Isn't this the truth? It's like, poor worn out Marco Rubio is going to replace the entire federal workforce because he could. Poor guy does everything. This is interesting. If you happen to be in California, always spell it with a K. Now, Gavin Newsom has said, if I can possibly screw with people as much as humanly I can. Newsom vetoes bill that could have saved Californians $550 million per year. So what is it? In August 2020, thousands of Californians endured rolling blackouts due to extreme heat that stressed the state's energy grid. The energy provider in Folsom, California, we had brownouts, we had occasional blackouts. They had a hell of a time trying to find, locate, purchase, and then disseminate electricity all throughout the state of California. Always call it with a K. Efforts to prevent energy shutoffs like this have intensified, particularly in the face of increasing extreme weather. Yeah, that's bullshit. It gets hot in California in the summer, always spelled with a K, and it gets a little bit cooler, and sometimes it rains in California. But one viable growing solution just took a major hit after Governor Newsom vetoed a number of bills that would have expanded California's ability to grow its virtual power plant system. VPPs, virtual power plants, are exactly like they sound. Instead of drawing power from a traditional power plant that exists in one fixed location, VPPs generate power across a wide variety of sources from various locations, including rooftop solar panels, home batteries, and smart thermostats, and he vetoed all of it. Public utilities and private companies manage these energy resources, and consumers can get compensation for participating and sending energy back to the grid. Now, gosh, folks, maybe you know this, maybe you don't. PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric, is they fillate Governor Gavin Newsom on a weekly basis. They went bankrupt and they retained favored nation status. And then they went to PSPS, public safety power shutoffs. I lost all sorts of appliances during a PSPS because when it's windy or, flames may occur. PG&E, the murdering PG&E killed 87 plus people in just the state of California, but they're humming on Newsom's pecker as hard as they possibly can. Chrome off a trailer hitch. That's vacuum, kiddies, and that's why Newsom voted it down, because PG&E would be affected in a negative or a deleterious fashion if this were to come to fruition. So, my God, we can't have that, can we? This is also a happy story. Oregon, extremely left, spends more on programs offering free health care for illegal immigrants than state police. Stop! No, illegal immigrants are not the receptors of largesse with regard to Medicare and Medicaid and health care. You know how Oregon gets this? Oregon officials are going to spend $1.5 billion in combined state and federal taxpayer dollars on a program that offers health benefits to illegal aliens from 2025 to 2027. Who supplements all of that money? It's the federal government. So the federal government is, in fact, funding illegal invaders. I guess you could say something like proxy or something like that. Leftists, I know you don't know what that word is. Go find a dictionary. Well, now you don't believe in books. You just like to burn them. That's okay. No problem. Let us continue on if we can. Now, this is a happy story because Michigan is a leftist state. Gretchen Whitmer rules with an iron fist in Michigan. You can't go into a Home Depot or a garden center during Wuhan 19. I forbid you. But you can go into Walmart. You can't go into a church, but you can go have drinks. No problem. It's so confusing in Michigan. Woman gets a $16,000 bill as Michigan demands unemployment money back. So this chick, who's 42, a single mother of 3 from White Cloud, Michigan, leaned on the aid during the COVID-19 pandemic when she could no longer clean houses for work. It's the first time she ever applied for unemployment benefits, but that lifeline has turned into a burden, and she now owes $16,067 to the Michigan Unemployment Insurance Agency for benefits she received 5 years ago, because that's fair. So the Michigan Unemployment Insurance Agency told about 350,000 people last month they must repay their benefits. The state wants to recover $2.7 billion from workers who said they were overpaid these benefits, meaning they got the money that they weren't supposed to, mostly in 20 and 21 during the height of the pandemic. Only because there's pressure and accountability suggested, where did all this money go? Where did it go? So Ricky Robinson is in chat. So he's taking show notes right now as he listens to the show. Whiskey Dale, and we'll produce for Green Card, of course. Someone said Marco Rubio in the ballroom of the White House with a set of plans and a hard hat. Oh, and a hard hat directing the construction. Marco Rubio does it all. Absolutely everywhere. It's been pouring here. Yeah, we've got some rain too here in Idaho. It never, don't you think I don't know that song? It never rains in California, but don't they warn you. Anyway, stop singing, BZ. You're making people revoltingly sick. Let's continue. Remember Obamacare? Isn't this funny how this stuff is coming around? What goes around comes around. Isn't that amazing? 15 years later, Washington Post editorial board says Obamacare was actually never really affordable. Would have been nice if you'd said that originally, but you were too in the tank for that. Then also, leftists are insane, are they not? Here's a happy story. The guy actually got arrested, but what did he have to do in order to get arrested? A Georgia guy was arrested after a video shows him tearing down a Trump banner and then opening fire on a business owner, the property owner who confronted him. So he was arrested on assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill or inflict serious injury. I'm telling you, these people are nuts. Demorats, leftists, globalists, they're all damn nuts. They're not regular nuts. They're not just extra crispy nuts. They're, I'm going to kill you as quickly as I possibly can nuts. That's why I'm saying, you know what? I am not positive about the kind of outcomes that we'll see towards the end of the year or again in 2026. Lindsey Graham said this. NBC's Kristen Welker was talking about Letitia James and Comey. And then Lindsey Graham points out the obvious. Lindsey Broken Clock Graham.
You think that crosses a line between the Justice Department being independent from the executive branch?
I think
BZ notes that Lindsey Graham is smiling.
Our Justice Department in the hands of Biden crossed every line there is to cross. I think within 3 days of announcing he was going to run for president in 2024, he did that in 2022.
But what about Trump?
He had
But
90
Senator, what about Trump?
What about?
Yeah. Now, I think the grand jury is going to take care of this, but you didn't care any about this. You didn't care that Letitia James made up charges that no one's ever faced.
But Senator,
okay, stop. Mikhail. Let me back this up. Here's the crazy leftist googly eye shit. This is when you can tell that you've got a crazy leftist because they got googly eyes. AOC, googly eyes. All sorts of googly eyes. Spartacus, googly eyes. Why do they all look the same? Male, female.
Charges that no one's ever faced.
But Senator
Alvin
Biden
Bragg
never
made up
publicly
charges
called
no one
for
ever
Trump
faced.
to be indicted.
He had 90. Biden regretted that they didn't do it before the election. Jack Smith surveilled my phone records and 8 other senators.
Googly eyes.
Jack Smith introduced his brief against Trump October the 24th before the 2024 election, violating every protocol just to politicize the election.
Stop. Truth. Ding, ding, ding. Ding, ding, ding. Nuts. They're nuts. Oh, geez. Every vote is needed. UBG is right. Every vote is needed, as I said the other night. Leftists don't give a crap what you're talking. They couldn't care less about stats or your rights or facts. All they care about is getting out and voting any way imaginable. Was that a Captain Binghamton reference? Oh, hair, yeah. Oh, hair, yeah, it was. Manson, googly eyes. That's the truth. Hey, Canada heavy hauler, fashionably late. Good to see you here at any time, sir. I can only hope with great fervency that for the show, in honor of the show, you wearing clean underwear. This is also a happy story. Let me put this up. I'm going to have to lucky low through these. Netflix loses an eye-watering amount of money following Elon Musk's call to cancel woke streaming services. So let me see if I can find. They lost in the order of $10 billion. $10 billion. This is terrible. I want to continue without supporting. I never want to support. Stop. From the New York Post, intersex professor fears she will be forced to lie and teach only two genders exist. An associate professor at the University of New Mexico says that she is concerned that she will be forced to lie and teach that there are only two genders, male and female. By the way, guesses, if you will. How long is her hair? Is she wearing a flannel shirt? Does she have a biker wallet with a chain? Is she ugly with small tits and big hips? And also, what do you think the color of her hair is? Go. I'll wait right here. I know eventually, sooner or later, you're going to tell me. Here's another happy story. Then we're going to get into what I was talking about earlier, because tonight's theme is Antifa Are Fascists. Holy crap. Do I have a lot of information about that? This is an interesting story that I bet you haven't heard. Republicans could draw 19 more House seats after an upcoming Supreme Court ruling. Demorat voting rights groups are preparing for a nightmare scenario if the Supreme Court guts a key part of the landmark civil rights era legislation, the Voting Rights Act, a very real possibility. So it says prohibits racial gerrymandering when it dilutes minority voting power. Would let Republicans redraw up to 19 House seats to favor the party and crush minority representation. Look who this is written by, and understand the thrust and the crux of the biscuit by leftist brow beating. Wait a minute. And drives a Subaru. Wait, this is BZ's askance look. Drives a Subaru. Anyway, UBG says purple hair, and I bet she looks like a mechanic on the show Chopped. Okay. All right. That deserves a most F. Hey, by the way, folks, since we are not having any breaks or anything like that, I'm going to have to treat you. I'm going to assume that I'm treating you like an adult at any time you can get up and go to the Kakapipi Electric Winkle Chamber, and you can have a drink. Here are my drinks. In his very own Kettle One Refueling Team mug. And I wonder whose cup this is. That's some good vodka. Anyway, I hope that you guys are having your own personal, and Whiskey Dale says, yeah, with tattoos and piercings. Of course. Most definitely. Let me go over here because I don't have a musical intro for this. Anything like that. Although for this portion of the presentation, to introduce the act you've known for all these years, we're going to be talking about Antifa for the rest of the show. And Antifa, well, as you all know, Antifa simply does not exist. There is no such thing as Antifa. Don't even think about Antifa. It's a word game in your fetid, knurled, little curled head, and get it out of your head. Except that it actually does exist. They have a flag, and the flag pairs the black flag of anarchism and the red flag of communism. So would you suppose that there's any kind of a chance that those two things are inexorably linked? I would say so. Let me I had to look and I had to figure out, okay, so let's get our definitions straight. So I had to go and find some definitions. Because I believe Antifa are the fascists. The fascists. I should have changed the title of the show. Not Antifa are fascists. They are the fascists. So I make that claim because it's true. But we have to define our terms up front. So I went to ChatGPT just because I was going to be curious as to how biased it is. And I said, define fascism for me. And it said, fascism is a far-right hold that thought. Far-right authoritarian political ideology characterized by a dictatorial power, forcible suppression of opposition, strong nationalism, and control of society and the economy. In more detail, ChatGPT said, it emphasizes the supremacy of the nation or the race over individual rights. It promotes a centralized autocratic government, often led by a dictator. It seeks to unify the nation by a series of rigid control of culture, media, education, and sometimes religion. Fascist regimes frequently rely on propaganda. By the way, folks, homework for next Thursday, because there's going to be a test. I'm telling you, look up Edward Bernays and have at least 5 pages of single-spaced quotes about Edward Bernays and propaganda when we come back on Thursday. Democracy, liberalism, and socialism are typically rejected as weak or divisive. Now, that's one way of defining it. So ChatGPT went on and said the most prominent examples are Italy's Benito Mussolini, 1922 to 1943, when he was hanged by the Italian people. Yay, Italy. And Adolf Hitler's Nazi Germany through variations of fascist movements. And they've appeared elsewhere. Duh. In short, it says, fascism is extreme nationalism and authoritarian rule and suppression of dissent and state control of life and thought. Do you surmise, perhaps, people, that there's a reason that I'm bringing this up to you? We know that definitions change all the time. Look at what, for example, occurred during Wuhan 19 with the definition of vaccine. That shit changed. Before, the definition for vaccine read the act of introducing a vaccine into the body to produce immunity to a specific disease. Historically, that has been the definition. Now, the word immunity, imagine that has been switched to protection. Golly, how did that ever happen? And so I keep this shit because you can't trust the internet to not disappear information that it doesn't like. So I resorted to pulling a Mark I Model I book, a dictionary, a Merriam-Webster dictionary, Dead Tree version, and consulted its version of fascist that read a political philosophy, movement, or regime that exalts nation and often race and stands for a centralized, autocratic, often militaristic government. So I have to ask you, does that bring anything to your mind? Oh, look, my pumpkin. The pumpkin light is on, but you can't see it. The light isn't very bright. It's just a singular LED in here. I'm so disappointed in that pumpkin. By the way, his name is Ed. Ed the pumpkin. This is his second year. No, third or fourth year being Ed. Thanks, Ed, for being in Idaho. Anyway, does this sound familiar? Does that definition sound familiar? Does it ring the bell for anybody for you? How about Idi Amin and Uganda in 1979? Okay. On just about every nation in Africa, if that's how you want to define and play that game too. So a lot of this stuff, oddly enough, is political. I also bring this up. Anti-fascists. Well, they are the fascists. Antifa is no different than the Demorats. This is what Demorats want. This is exactly what Antifa wants. Socialism. Kill babies. Raise taxes. Open the borders. Defund the military. Take away guns. Very important if you're a rioter. Weaken the economy. Defend illegal invaders. Gee, what's Antifa been doing for a couple of years now, particularly in Portland and Seattle and Texas and all across the fruited plains? That's right. They also want to suppress free speech. Reparations for slavery, remove the electoral college. Gee, this sounds exactly like Democrats, and it also sounds exactly and shockingly like wait a minute. How come I can't have that? Let's go over here. If I only had a producer, it sounds shockingly like, oh Jesus, don't do this to me.
Conservative media.
Wrong. This. That's like the cat from last week that was, oh, Long Johnson. Oh, Long Johnson. Then this happened. This was a happy story. Trump designated Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. There's a reason for that. And those reasons are being executed these days. It's not just a matter of, I don't like them, they're terrorists. It also leads to support and money. Who is supporting Antifa? If you support Antifa, you could find yourself the subject of a DOJ prosecution. Also, where this money coming from? Foreign billionaire funneled $513 million into radical Antifa groups. Just remember, Antifa doesn't exist. It's simply a concept. It's just a concept. A concept the likes of which, if you support, you can be prosecuted. And now they're backtracking the cash. Cui bono, BZ always asks. Who benefits? BZ also says, follow the money. You follow the money, you're going to find the originators of all of this. Oh, you're not going to play for me? Archive has been giving me a problem these days. Let me see if I can try it one more time. Apparently, you bastards are not going to make it easy for me. This is also a happy story because once we designated Antifa as a problem area, look who followed suit. The Dutch Parliament approved designating Antifa as a terrorist organization after Charlie Kirk's assassination. Happy birthday, Charlie. Happy 32nd. We wish you were here. Let me see if I can go back and find it. Nope, not going to let me. Anyway, that's a happy story. You guys know of this? Are you aware of this? There's another No King's Day coming up. October 18th. Gee, that's just a couple of days away. That's not far. That's 4 days away. There's going to be a No King's Day, and they have gone for the past month at least soliciting money for no kings. For the No King's Day. Let me go back and see if I can find that. No, that is still not working. So there's going to be more riots. There are going to be more arrests. There's going to be more upheaval, more chaos, more bedlam. UBG, Antifa is no more real than the mafia and the you meant to say Yakuza. I get it. MS-13 and the Chinese triads. If Idi Amin didn't like you, he would have you over for dinner. Or maybe he would have you for dinner. Canada Heavy Haul, they're fighting fascists and fascism by being fascists themselves and to feed the crocs. Parenthesis, Idi Amin? Idi Amin? You ever see a picture of Idi Amin? You know, it's like Russian generals have the eyeballs or the eyelashes and the eyebrows. And then Idi Amin had every medal possible, probably up to 10 to 15 pounds of medals on his person. Leftist ads are all over YouTube. Yeah. No King's Day coming up. Yay. No King's. Yay. It's every day is a good day to riot. Here's a story back from 2017. Even in 2017, 8 years ago, people knew about Antifa. Black-clad Antifa members attacked peaceful right-wing demonstrators in Berkeley. That's a weird article, just proving that they exist. Now, this is an important article. I want you to look at this. Here's the byline by Mark Bray. And I was able to do this in archive.is because I wanted to be able to access this article, and archive.is allowed me to this time. I don't know why. Anyway, Mark Bray, I'll tell you about Mark Bray in just a moment here. Now, it says he is an historian of human rights, terrorism, and political radicalism in modern Europe at Rutgers University. Now, Mark Bray says 5 myths about Antifa. Oh, myth? Short for anti-fascist, the label Antifa gained notoriety in 2017, and I showed you that article. Myth number 1. Oh, myth. Antifa is a single organization. No, it's a terrorist organization, and that's why they have siloed cells. Antifa masterminds violence at Black Lives Matter protests. BLM loves fellow terrorists. Occasionally, they'll associate with the white folks, not consistently. Antifa is affiliated with the Democratic Party. Now, that is a semi-myth because I can't say the word myth and not have that go through my brain housing group anymore. Jeez, oh pizza. Anyway, it's affiliated kind of sort of with the Democratic Party, but as far as Antifa is concerned, the Demorats do not go sufficiently left for the left. So that's semi-correct. Antifa is funded by liberal financiers like George Soros. Yes, yes, and yes. Anti-fascists are the real fascists. Yes, they are. That's the thrust of the show tonight. But notice all the Bernays-type Goebbels propaganda that goes on by this guy, Mark Bray. Now, I put this up to show you Antifa, the Anti-Fascist Handbook. Now, as I've said any number of times, at the conclusion of this show, I will post all the show links, and you'll be able to go in and see everything that I show you here. Mark Bray, the guy that just said, oh, Antifa is a myth, is the author of the Anti-Fascist Handbook. By the way, if you just tuned in, the Anti-Fascist Handbook is what Keith Ellison stood next to and adored. It is a handbook. It is loved by Antifa. They can access it anywhere in PDF, and so can you. And it will be up in the show notes under BZ's Saloon in Rumble on the SHR Media Group. Sean Lewis, I got to put this up again. He also fed a lot of to the Crocs as punishment. Okay, dude, Schadenfreude, okay? But at your leisure, you can go through this. Look, it'll tell you, it gives credits. Look, here's the contents. I'm going to give you an introduction. This is used as a reference guide by Antifa. Now, here's something unusual. Wow, BZ, how did you find all this stuff? This seems weird. Mark Bray, the guy that they call Dr. Antifa. Rutgers professor known as Dr. Antifa flees to Europe after petition to remove him. Stop. talk to the hand. Now, remember I said, and we know, Trump declared Antifa a terrorist organization. That means DOJ will be going after supporters of Antifa, a terrorist organization, and people who advocate for Antifa, a terrorist organization, or people who may be middlemen in terms of acquiring cash, payments, payouts for Antifa. So this guy over here is thinking, well, I don't want to be arrested. I will lovingly kick my Antifa fellows to the curb because I'm out of here. Stage left, obviously. You grokked that concept. He's moving to Europe and he's teaching online after receiving death threats following a petition calling for his removal. On the surface, but like a duck underneath the surface, his little legs are paddling rapidly because he doesn't want to get caught up in the DOJ crap that will be occurring as people backtrack all of Antifa. Simultaneously, we've seen this as well. Polls are rising by leftists. Wait a minute, what is this? Whiskey Dale, $10. I think Whiskey Dale, is that indicative that you gave $10 to SHR Media? I think that's what that is. I'm not sure. Anyway, whatever you did for $10, Whiskey Dale, God bless you. Thank you for that. So polls show rising number of Americans justify political violence. But that's okay, because if you believe that Charlie Kirk was Hitler, well, you're going to kill Hitler. 55% of self-identified left-of-center respondents said that it was at least somewhat justified to murder President Trump. 48% said the same of Elon Musk, and 40% of responders, including 59.6%, 60% of left-of-center respondents, said it was at least somewhat acceptable to destroy a Tesla dealership in protest. Because why wouldn't you want to? Here's more. Left-wing terrorism climbs to a 30-year high. We knew that. And also, this rich comic artist sent this to me. What does that say? 650 points. Dale, wow. Awesome. That's $10, $1 bills, wink, wink, wink. Yay! And again, we have 640 subscribers. I haven't been playing this stuff like I should. We have 640 subscribers right now. You can subscribe as well if you would like. I'm going to play this. Let me go pick that up and go up here. Now, I want to make some Linkulus right now if I can find the comic. Okay, comic artist was in chat. Comic artist is Rich Gibbs. Rich Gibbs sent me this. So let's watch together and see what happens. 10 seconds of buttery, whatever the hell this is. Oh, that's so sad. That is really sad. Who's doing that to Antifa? And that poor young girl on the right, she looks shocked, I tell you, that anyone would want to do that to her and hurt her and insult her feelings. That's so sad. That's so bad. Remember I told you about Keith Ellison? Remember I told you about Keith Ellison holding the Antifa handbook? Remember I told you about Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison says Antifa isn't an organization, but BZ brings the receipt saying he knows exactly what it is. And he knows exactly what it does because he's an advocate for it. All the Demorats are advocating for it because Antifa is doing the job that they so much would love to do. Hey, Antifa, I don't get it. Who are they?
it's going to be this executive order where they're going to try to create a new classification for anybody on the left who opposes Trump as somehow a member of Antifa and a terrorist.
Yeah.
Like this is coming. And I don't think we are fully now. I don't think there's any the problem. Like, I don't even know what Antifa is. I know what the definition of Antifa is. And
I know what the word means, but it's not
correct.
a group.
There is no group.
No, there is no group. There is no such. What did I tell you from the very beginning? You guys just don't listen to me. There is no such thing as Antifa. They don't exist. Would you completely put it and rip it out of your brain? Hey, look. Can you see this? It's on X. Antifa Portland. They have their own X group. Also, Antifa Seattle. They have their own group. Look at that. And they love to protest. And they love to support leftists. Because that's what they do. But they don't exist. By the way, they're not violent. They don't advocate for lasering pilots and co-pilots in helicopters. No, that's Rose City Counter Info. By the way, this will again be in the receipt portion, the show links of the show, tonight's show on Rumble. Give me a couple of hours to do that because I'm old, fat, and slow. But also, while you're there, I'll put the link up to this originally. Point the right direction, would you, moron? Rose City Counter Info. rosecitycounterinfo.noblogs.org. Take a peek at that site, would you? That stuff is going to blow your brainulus. Now, do you know Jason Rance? Jason Rance is in Seattle. And he says, and don't think we're not going to get to Andy No. Oh, yeah, baby. We're going to get to Andy No. I'll show you all about Andy No. Shoot. It's 9:50 Pacific, which means that it's 11:50 Central and 12:50 Eastern. So I'm going to go into some overtime. We're doing nominally right now. I still have a few more things to go. There might be a hair, a hair so small that you're going to have to measure it with a micrometer of overtime. There may, in fact, be some overtime. This is Jason Rance, who lives in Seattle, who's living amongst and around Antifa and has been doing so for a really long time. And he's going to tell you, hey, how can you identify Antifa? Is that even possible?
Now, there's a difference between someone who is part of Antifa organizing and someone who goes online and declares themselves anti-fascist. There are two different things. Antifa is indeed an idea. That is also true. It's also a group. And I know that they're a group because I infiltrated them for 2 years. I reported on them for many years. And you know what they do to make it really easy to identify? You know what they do? Ask me what they do.
What do they do?
What do they
They
do?
chant Antifa. And they have flags that say, wait for it, Antifa.
No.
So when you organize.
Wait a minute. Shoot. That's about the time if I had a producer, you would have heard. I don't know. Maybe you wouldn't.
Yourself and you call yourself Antifa and then you commit violent acts. Well, guess what? You're a group called Antifa. That's how this works.
Wow.
Now, there's a difference between someone who is.
Don't say that you never learned anything important in this show. As far as I'm concerned, you learned something very, very importante. Muy importante right there. Let us continue. So they're not organized, right? Antifa, they're not organized at all. You want to see Antifa in Portland as they unload a car filled with riot shields in downtown Portland. But no, they don't exist and they're not organized. They're not an organization. Shields, helmets, black bloc masked up, black uniforms. They have Bergens, packs. They're frequently as outfitted or kitted up, minus firearms, yet as the officers that they're assaulting and going against. This isn't a protest. They aren't there to protest. They're there to get some. Here you go. Here's your shield. Because you're going to need the shield against gas munitions. By the way, the other thing is, I've said any number of times, I'll say it again. The only people essentially that can use gas munitions as law enforcement are the federal government. States, especially blue states and blue cities, have completely proscribed 40 millimeter sting ball, pepper ball, any kind of gas munition, except the only way that you will be able to achieve superiority over any kind of riot anymore in a blue city is with superiority in numbers, and they are making sure that you will never, ever, ever, as cops, have superiority in numbers again. And that's where the rioters and the protesters will always have it. Let me put this up here. A gunman named Michael Reno wrote in his manifesto, he's Antifa, by the way. I am 100% Antifa. He was arrested weeks later at a riot with an illegal firearm. He was let go, and the DA's office dropped all the charges. That's in Seattle. Then Vice hid his location when he was a fugitive. So, what is this? What does this have to do with anything? Who is this guy, and why am I mentioning him? I want to continue without supporting. Go away. How a Portland radical murdered a Trump supporter. Did you hear this? Did you know of this? Were you aware of this? Oh, Antifa isn't violent. They don't have guns. You're arresting poor protesters. Bullshit. How a Portland radical murdered a Trump supporter and became a hero, of course, for Antifa. So during the riots following George Floyd, Andy Ngo embedded with Antifa groups, and that's how I will tell you about Andy Ngo. What happened is on August 29, 2020, that violence culminated in a murder when a 48-year-old volunteer security officer for BLM Antifa killed a Trump supporter in downtown. So Michael Forrest Reinhold shot Aaron J. Danielson, 39, using a pistol at near point blank range after lying in wait for him around a street corner. The shooting was caught on camera from a distance by a live streamer. A person believed to be Reinhold shouted, "We got a couple right here." Danielson was walking with a friend. So 2 shots ring out. Danielson fell face first to the ground. He was shot in the chest and died instantly. So he may have received some kind of justice for that. I will leave you to find out what that justice was. Oh, that's right. He was killed. Oh, sad. House of Schadenfreude. And as this says, can you feel it? Are you getting any inclination? January 6th is starting to fall apart. The 275 plainclothes FBI agents exposed in the crowd. I believe Antifa played a role there as well. I believe Chris Wray knew it. It was an operation. Let's continue.
He's getting his disguise on.
Okay, so he's gonna wear this. I'm gonna wear a mask underneath the mask. You should wear this. I'm wondering if I should wear, what do you think I should wear as a hat? Should I wear this or this? Yeah. Here, this is your mask.
Oh my God, the America mask.
Dude, I'm not fucking with you. You gotta blend in. I know
it burns. The American flag, it burns.
you can't stomach wearing it, but like you need to blend it. You have to have a visual identifier. You're not coming if you're not wearing this.
All right.
You could also wear this.
Yeah, the America hat might be my move, but we'll see. I'll bring them both in my backpack.
We've got Fox News, OAN,
CNN. We're ready to
We're ready.
I don't know if we're committing crimes doing this, but
Are you insinuating that I don't work for all three of these companies simultaneously?
I am at least.
And so on. Again, you can watch that at your own leisure a little bit later if you wish. Damn it, another archive that isn't going to work for me. That's sad because I had some good stuff to show. Andy, no. The American media maggots are all essentially saying, now, we have no idea what Antifa is. We don't know. Nor, primordially, do they really care. And why is that? Because they sympathize with Antifa. Antifa is doing the work of the Demorats. And by extension of that, by proxy, the American media maggots. They're loving what Antifa is doing to tear this country apart. And like I say, because of the show, Antifa are the fascists. They are the fascists. And I have showed you what they believe in. And it's what we've seen under Biden 46, tearing this country apart. That's their job. You know, in a way, I kind of have to agree with Mark Bray because they're nihilists and they're anarchists. They just like to bust shit up. Oh, bust your face. They enjoy that. That's part of it. It is cool to be Antifa until you're caught or until you're hurt or until you're hit with the pepper ball. It stings, mommy. It stings. So here's another article. Veteran journalist flips script on media running cover for Antifa violence. Now, I'm not going to do that. It's just going to go over here to another one. Here's where I recommend you go. This will, again, be in show links. This is Andy No. You may or may not know that Andy No was almost killed when he was hit a few years ago. And the video shows him getting sprayed with, I don't know whatever the hell that is, silly spring or some kind of a stringy toxic chemical. Well, no, that wasn't everything that happened to him. Andy No embedded with Antifa until they found out. When they found out, they decided they're going to FAFO him. Well, what happened is Andy No was struck with a flagpole. Well, that wouldn't hurt very much, BZ. What's the problem? Well, the flagpole was wrapped in a lead pipe. The lead pipe was holding the flagpole, and he went to the hospital, and he had a TBI, a traumatic brain injury, and almost died. That's your loving Antifa for you. Go to Andy No on X, Mr. Andy No, and just start at the top. There's too much for me to go into on this site because it's already, I don't know, 10:01. And you're listening to the SHR Media Network, and I'm BZ. Thanks for being here tonight. Start at the top of Andy No and just go down. Go down. I'm going to play this afterwards, but you can just go down and all of this. It continues. It goes. These are all the receipts about Antifa. Well, there is no Antifa because you don't want to know about Antifa. You have no interest. So Andy No was vindicated as they were ordered to pay for the infamous milkshake attack. And then, let me see if I can get this in here. Pretty please. This is not going to connect. Yes, here we go. Let me play this. As Andy says, I wonder what happens when you finally identify, find, serve, and depose an Antifa member. Well, you don't expect them to tell the truth. Portland police. I went all over Portland police last week. They're despicable leftist cowards. And I will say it to your face, to your chief's face, to your mayor's face, to your administration's face, and any of the officers who obey their orders from the chief. You're cowards. Portland police never arrested any of the Antifa militants who tried to kill me. So I went after the ones I could identify through the courts. There's a deposition of Portland Antifa ringleader, name names, Elizabeth Renee Richter. And here it is.
You thought the milkshakes were bad last time. We're going to beat the fuck out of you, bitch.
Did you hear you say we're going to beat the fuck out of you?
Yes.
Do you consider that to be a threat?
No.
No. Our comrade fucking spotted him in block. We knew it was him. He had a Black Lives Matter thing tied around him like a cape, a flag.
Did you hear your voice in that clip?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And you stated that our comrade spotted him. Do you remember hearing that?
Yep.
Who are you referring to when you said our comrade? So do you recognize this post?
I recognize my handle, but I don't remember the post.
Of course not.
Okay. Do you see where it says, Andy was discovered by one of our comrades who's a fucking badass?
Yeah.
Okay. So the part comrades, it says who's a fucking...
Okay, stop right there. I pointed this out before, but I want to continue to point out for those of you who are not terribly familiar with Antifa, and that's this. Andy was discovered by one of our comrades. I almost said communist. Oh, okay, if it fits. Who's a fucking badass while Andy was in full block. That's black block. That's the uniform. That's the face covering. That's the black hat. That's the black gloves, the black boots, the black shirt, the black jacket, the black pants. That's what they mean by black bloc.
Badass.
Yeah.
Who are you referring to when you wrote that? Are you able to retrieve the social media posts concerning Andy No that you deleted?
No.
No.
What is Signal?
It's a messaging app.
Okay. Did you produce any communications off of Signal to your attorney in this case?
I don't have access to Signal anymore.
Okay. So when did you lose access to Signal?
In the last few months.
So the question is, do you believe it? Andy No doesn't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't think there's anyone here who believes it. Oh my God, folks, I'm about to swoon. I'm getting the fantods. Where's my fainting couch? I hope it's behind me. Please. I made it through every article that I wanted to show you tonight, and I'm only about 6 minutes into overtime. This has almost never happened to me before. One article. Okay, one more to go. Do you think that it's only happening here in the United States? That is to say, Antifa. Milan is a war zone. Antifa terrorizes the city centers as police struggle to gain control. This is the response because Meloni in Italy won't recognize Palestine as a state. This is the insanity that Antifa likes to instill. And this is why I say the point of officers is to make, see how they're backing up? The point of officers is to make sure that they can never quell another riot again, ever. This is Milan. You're watching Seattle. You're watching Chicago. You're watching Portland. You're watching every lurk, every leftist urban rat cage extant. And the same thing is happening. Only the feds have the ability to defend themselves with customary weapons that used to be allowed but are now proscribed by cities and counties and other law enforcement organizations in leftist urban rat cages in blue cities in blue states. Because the intent is, look at all the people. You'll never be able to stop this ever again. Ever. Unless you have, oh God, I wish I'd thought to bring this. You know what we need here in the States? Those big trucks on, I think they're on like quad dualies. And they have a huge engine in them, a big pumper. And then they have a nozzle that you fire at protesters, and it knocks them ass over end, and it knocks them off their feet. Those little nozzle things are called monitors from fire departments. And you spray them at such intensity and with such great water pressure, there's not much that can be done. We need those. There's Antifa. There's Antifa in Italy. That's the point. The point is to overwhelm anyone, everything, and essentially doom society. Because Antifa isn't just fighting, just all they want is a chance to fight anything and everything. You know, it will be illegal invaders this week. Wait a minute. Writes down the date in the official SHR history book with a total shock on my face because BZ got to all of the tabs and all of the stories that he wanted to. That's never happened before. Shh, don't tell anybody. And grab Sean's pencil. Don't let him write that down. That's just wrong. Absolutely wrong. Well, folks, as someone that I know and love says something similar to, wait, who's that in the wings that's waiting? I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope that, let me go back up here, that you enjoyed my little tete-a-tete about Antifa. I hope you keep my little doggy in your prayers. I hope you watch The Day the Earth Stood Still on the 24th, on Friday at 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific at KLRN. To the people that are watching the resizzle of this show on Wednesday night at KLRN, hi, Mom. Good to see you. Thanks, Rick Robinson, for that. I was busy tonight. I had to do a lot of stuff. I'm taxed. I'm complaining. Where's my complaint form? But I did it. For once, I actually did it. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show live and direct right here on the SHR Media Group in the SHR Media North Idaho Studio Singular, one each. And you watched it live. You're maybe watching it in podcast, or maybe you're watching it semi-live during the resizzle on KLRN. Thanks to Rick Robinson for that. I think it's wonderful. It's a wonderful. So, muy apreciado. And to that I say promotional consideration is by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, by Electro Voice and Shure microphones, by the Arrakis people who make my mixer, and also by Pratt & Whitney engines producing Thrust. You can trust. And I should also point out tiaras, I'm going to have to turn for this, are by My Little Pony. So you can see my tiara. Also, thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team, with whom I shall be consorting in less than 10 minutes. Happy birthday, Charlie Kirk. God bless you. God bless every one of you. Take care and be safe. See you Thursday.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Tim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night and good luck.
Is BZ gone? I don't know. Look around. Maybe he is. Happy birthday, Charlie. By the way, Ed says, good night to you too, UBG. He hopes you're here Thursday. Thanks to Dale, most definitely. Good night, Jake. Good night, Chet. Stand by for news.